All right, I'm calling the Lakeville Open Space Committee meeting to order at 7:02 p.m. We'll start off by reading the the draft statement, the Zoom draft statement. Script for remotely conducted open meetings. As a preliminary matter, this is Jesse Medford, Chair of the Lakeville Open Space Committee. Permit me to confirm that all members, staff, and persons anticipated on the agenda are present and can hear me. Members, when I call your name, please respond in the affirmative. Liz Nash.
Yes, aye.
Brian Reynolds.
Aye.
Mike Schroeder.
Aye.
Donna Wabrick. I didn't see her yet. Are you?
Aye.
All right. And Adam Young.
Aye.
Okay, and staff, that's NA. Anticipated speakers, NA. And introduction to remote meeting. Good evening. This open meeting of the Lakeville Open Space Committee is being conducted remotely, consistent with Governor Baker's executive order of March 12, 2020, due to the current state of emergency in the Commonwealth due to the outbreak of the COVID-19 virus. In order to mitigate the transmission of the COVID-19 virus, we have been advised and directed by the Commonwealth to suspend public gatherings, and as such, the governor's order suspends the requirement of the open meeting law to have all meetings in a publicly accessible physical location. Further, all members of public bodies are allowed and encouraged to participate remotely. The order, which you can find posted with agenda materials for this meeting, allows public bodies to meet entirely remotely so long as reasonable public access is afforded so that the public can follow along with the deliberations of the meeting. Ensuring public access does not ensure public participation unless such participation is required by law. This meeting will not feature public comment. For this meeting, the Lakeville Open Space Committee is convening by video conference via Zoom as posted on the town's website. Please note that this meeting is being recorded and that some attendees are participating by video conference. Accordingly, please be aware that other folks may be able to see you, and take care not to screen share your computer. Anything that you broadcast may be captured by the recording. All supporting materials that have been provided by members of this body are available on the town's website unless otherwise noted. The public is encouraged to follow along using the posted agenda unless I note otherwise. We are now turning to the first item on the agenda. Before we do so, permit me to cover some ground rules for effective and clear conduct of our business and to ensure accurate meeting minutes. I will introduce each speaker on the agenda. After they conclude their remarks, the chair will go down the line of members, inviting each by name to provide any comment, questions, or motions. Please hold until your name is called. Further, please remember to mute your phone or computer when you are not speaking. Please remember to speak clearly and in a way that helps generate accurate minutes. For any response, please wait until the chair yields the floor to you and state your name before speaking. If members wish to engage in colloquy with other members, please do so through the chair, taking care to identify yourself. All right. And finally, each vote taken in this meeting will be conducted by a roll call vote. Okay, and to the meeting agenda. Number one, in accordance with the governor's order suspending certain provisions of the open meeting law relating to the 2020 novel coronavirus outbreak emergency, the October 7, 2020 public meeting of the Lakeville Open Space Committee shall be physically closed to the public to avoid group congregation. However, to view this meeting in progress, please go to facebook.com/LakeCAM. You do not need a Facebook account to view the meeting. This meeting will be recorded and available to be viewed at a later date at LakeCAM.tv. And is anyone recording besides LakeCAM? Nothing heard. Meeting minutes. Number one is the meeting minutes, the approval of August 5th and September 2nd, 2020 meeting minutes. Now, we'll have to put the August 5th up on the screen because it did not get on the website. So let me screen share this. And now I believe everybody can see this. Can you see it?
Yes.
All right. So August 5th, now we were all in attendance at this one with the exception of Brian Reynolds. So Brian cannot vote on this one. Did everybody have a chance to read it already? If not, we can give you a minute. Take it, everybody has read it. I'm just scrolling through so the viewers, if there are any, can see what we are voting on. And if anybody has any corrections or additions, please let me know. Nothing heard. Like to entertain a motion. Anybody make a motion to accept these or not?
I would despite the fact that I wrote the minutes, I would make a motion to accept them.
All right.
I will
Motions
second
to
that
accept.
motion. Yeah, I will second that motion.
That was Liz seconding. All
I'm
right.
sorry, yes.
A roll call vote in order that I see on my screen. I'll call you by name. First, Mike Schroeder.
Aye.
Second, Adam Young.
Aye.
Third, Liz Nash.
Aye.
Brian Reynolds.
Abstain.
Oh, yeah. Thank you. Donna Wabrick.
Aye.
And myself, aye. That's unanimous in favor with one abstention. And the next is the, was it September, where's my agenda? Here we go. September 2nd. Now that one was not emailed out yet. But Adam said he has it completed and he doesn't mind reading it out to us all.
Right. So in this case, I think we'll be able to get Brian's input since we're reading it. So I'll read this over quite quickly. And if anyone wants me to circle back and clarify, please just ask. The meeting was called to order at 7:04 p.m. last month. Jesse opened the meeting by taking attendance and reading the announcement of remote open meeting rules in light of COVID-19. August 5th meeting minutes were not submitted in advance, so they'll be submitted and reviewed along with the September 2nd meeting minutes. Jesse notes that Patrick Marshall was sworn in to continue his role as our liaison to the Master Plan Committee. Next item is the survey. Adam reviewed the many survey items that will be included and received feedback from the group regarding which questions to change. Mike noted that she has made comments and revisions to the open space plan. She notes that we need to divide up the remaining work to be done. Mike said she will work on information from the water departments and she will communicate with Patrick Marshall to get relevant information from the master plan. Mike said she will ask Liz if she is willing to do the bylaw updates. Mike provided an update from the APC that several repairs are being discussed, but no concrete actions are yet being taken. Jesse says that the fields and trails are getting used from Ted Williams camp. Jesse says no news has been received from Patrick Marshall regarding the master plan. Brian says that the Historical Commission is in the process of scheduling a meeting to complete a comprehensive inventory of historical sites in town and notes that there is some momentum towards the Thompson Hill Cemetery on Route 79 being placed on the National Register of Historic Sites. Regarding Pauline's Path on 73 Howland Road, Jesse says there is no news after having been given the go-ahead for development. Similarly, there is no news regarding the LeBaron properties or Ocean Spray. Jesse notes that Liz has been sworn in to be the Open Space Committee's representative for the Lakeville Hospital properties. Brian mentions that the town has considered hiring a part-time town planner. The committee briefly discussed outreach strategies for potential future town purchase of valuable open space properties. Mike notes that we still need another member on the committee. Jesse informed the group of the next month's meeting time. The meeting was then adjourned at 8:16, unanimously voted.
All right, thank you. Does anybody have any Corrections, additions, anything? All right, nothing heard.
Mike, I think Mike has got her
Yeah.
hand raised.
Okay.
I
go
just
ahead.
no corrections. I just wanted to hear again. I said that I would do the things that involve the water department, but you said something else that I can't find my notes on that. So I really need to know what other part I said that I would.
Right. I have written here that you have agreed to work on information regarding the water departments, and you will communicate with Patrick Marshall regarding the map.
Okay. Thank you.
All right. Do I have a motion to accept these minutes?
I move to accept the meetings for September 12 as written.
September 2nd, as written. Do I have a
Well,
second?
second, Brian Reynolds, second.
All right. Roll call vote in order. Mike Schroeder,
Aye.
Adam Young,
Hi.
Donna Wabreck,
Aye.
Liz Nash,
Aye.
Brian Reynolds,
Aye.
myself, Jesse Medford, aye. Unanimous in favor. All right. Next item on the agenda, old business. Discuss open space letters of interest. I emailed, we've got 2 letters of interest. I emailed them out to each of you. Brian hasn't been able to read that. I'm going to put them on the screen and I will read them aloud. Just a second. Find which, here we go. Okay. The first letter came from Niles Carter of 4 Court Circle. Dear members, I would like to express my interest in the vacancy on the Open Space Committee for the town of Lakeville. My wife and I have been Lakeville residents for the past 11 years. We have come to understand the town and all that Lakeville has to offer. Our children and grandchildren have also settled now in nearby communities. Knowing that my family plans to make Lakeville our home for quite a long time, I would like to be able to contribute to the town. Having grown up in Plainville, Mass., I value the small town life and appreciate the rural community that is Lakeville. I would be remiss if I didn't say that fishing wasn't also part of my desire for living in this community. As for my experience and how I can contribute, I believe my 40 years in construction management as an EVP, I believe that's Executive Vice President, as well as Senior Superintendent for many complex projects. I have often been the one who is bridging communications in the community, adhering to regulations, safety requirements, working with all teams, and respect to all parties. Most of my experience has been in and around Boston and surrounding communities. I'd like to be more involved. I would like to be a more involved part of the Lakeville community and offer my skills, experience, and knowledge in successfully fulfilling the vacancy on the Open Space Committee. I'm happy to provide a resume that more so outlines my years of experience and abilities should you desire. As you will note, I will also be submitting a letter of interest for some of the other boards and committees, as I know there are a few seats to be filled and would like only to be able to contribute in a way that helps Lakeville where my skills are best suited. Thank you for time and consideration. Sincerely, Niles Carter. And the second letter that we received is from Fred Freudema. My name is Fred Freudema. I received an email from Jesse Medford informing me of an open seat on the committee and I would be interested in joining. I attended one meeting last fall. However, since we just moved to Lakeville in September, there were too many loose ends to take care of and I did not follow up on any other meetings. We are pretty settled now and I would be interested in joining. I served as chairman of the Alfred Maine Conservation Committee before we moved, was a board member of the Alfred Planning Board, and was on the board of directors also a past vice president of Three Rivers Landing Trust in Maine and served as treasurer of the Southern Maine Conservation Collaborative. Thank you, Fred Freudem, 16th School Street. All right. Does anybody have any input on those two letters of interest that you would like to share?
I'm happy to see the interest. That's really good to see.
Indeed. Is there a way for us? I mean, can we invite them to a meeting and chat and like see what they bring, think what kind of questions they have and what think the Open Space Committee should be doing?
We definitely can. I was under the impression that Tracy was inviting them for this meeting. I don't know if she in fact did that or not. I don't know. It's something that I can check into.
Could you repeat the names of these two people?
Fred Freudema, we met him one time a year ago in Loon Pond Lodge when we met there. Let's see, the other one is Niles Carter.
Okay, thanks.
Mike's got her
Mr.
hand
Chairman,
up.
Mr. Chairman,
Yep, go ahead.
I think it's an excellent idea to directly invite them, but we do need to acknowledge that we have already met Fred and that we encouraged him to join before. Just be sure that you do acknowledge that we're delighted to have had him apply because we have already realized what good qualifications he has and what strong interest he has.
Yep, definitely. Yeah, I can go ahead and send them both an invite and find out if Tracy did too. I don't know that she did. She said, or she asked if I would like her to, and I said, yeah, go ahead. I don't know if she did though. So I'll look into that and can also send them an invite personally, letting them know that.
Do we then make some kind of recommendation of which one we would choose, or which we would prefer? Because I think there's only one opening at this point.
Correct. There is only one opening.
Okay.
But there is room, as I understand it, for an additional member who would just simply not be voting. Is that right? The role that I think I occupied briefly.
Oh, that's
Well,
a good point.
We did try to make you an associate member, and that was held up by the Board of Selectmen because they just said there was no associate position for open space. So they really wanted to discuss that. And we just never really got into it because we knew there was going to be an opening soon. So,
right. Well, I will just also point out something that I'm sure is on the minds of many of us is that the open space plan still needs to be worked on and completed. And to whatever extent we can get their help, either in the capacity as a member or as just a very helpful non-member, if they're watching, I hope they hear and understand that we very much are enthusiastic to have their help, especially on that project.
right. Yep, definitely.
Completely. Totally.
All right. Okay, next spot on the old business is to discuss the open space plan work group meetings.
Yeah, I would just want to apologize to all of you. I haven't been very active in looking at any of that. There's a lot of reasoning I can give you. It's been a challenging few months since the whole COVID thing happened. I work at a museum and my boss has had some struggles, and so I've had to pick up a lot of slack. So I apologize that I haven't kicked in more with the open space plan. I feel like that person who needs somebody to tell me what to do. Tell me what to do, I'll go do it.
Don't break
And
your
so-
other arm. That'll be the first step.
All right.
Well, I had said that I had gone through and had made comments. Well, I think I had also told you in one of the last meetings that I was having trouble getting, Google Docs worked for me at first, and then I couldn't get it to function anymore. And because I don't know, all my technology things seem to have gremlins in them. So I just went back to old-fashioned Post-its. And I now have almost finished typing up. I've got notes about corrections with pages and paragraphs. And what I really would like for us to do, I'll send that to you. And as I had said, I would be happy to do all the updates that involve contacting the other water boards. But people are going to need to talk with, well, let's see, people going to, I don't mean, when I say the water boards, I mean like Taunton and New Bedford. Somebody is going to need to talk to the local water board. Somebody is going to need to get information from Nate, the building inspector, because he will have a lot of the information that we need. Somebody will need to try to get to try to access the changes in bylaws. Somebody will need to get in touch with Natural Heritage. So if what I can do is I can make up a list of all the contacts. I think so that we don't want to be calling the same people, obviously. And I kind of had the impression that maybe we were doing the wrong thing just to try to revise this, but I've gone back to thinking that yes, revising it rather than trying to start all over. I read the workbook and oh my gosh, it's quite a headache. But I do think that before we get into this too deeply, people not only need to have read it and read it all the way through, particularly the community setting part, because that's the part that we will be will be revising before we can really move on. But also the master plan, which I think is masterful, having read it about 3 times. I did not get a hold of Patrick. Instead, I read the master plan itself because it is it's in its final form on the town. Let's see. I think what I did was I Googled Lakeville Master Plan Serpent. It's on the Serpent website, and of course they have almost all the maps that we need. Their information is not entirely up to date because they've been working on that master plan for several years now, and some of it is several years old. Information that we're going to want to use is from the 2020 census, and I don't know when that will be available. So where that's needed, I thought we would just leave it as it is with the note that we will update it as soon as the information is available.
It sounds like you have, an idea for us where we can start divvying things up once you get it on paper on who needs to be contacted and the points of contact. Then we can start dividing that up between us and hitting it that way. Like Liz said, some of us, if we just have, some direction on this, it'll, we can get moving better.
I just want to know that one of the things that the open space, that the master plan said when it talked about their goals for open space, to get the open space committee to get the plan done. They gave us they put a timeline out and they gave us a couple of years. I hope we don't have to take those 2 years, but they mentioned it being brief, and that was why I thought, well, maybe we should rewrite it. But honest to gosh, even though it's long, all the information that's in there is really quite useful to understand the nature of Lakeville. So, people need to understand why it is those ponds are not available. People need to understand why we don't have a water system. People need to understand, there's just a lot of things that really help you to get an idea of why the town is the way it is. And so I think I'm in favor of just revising and keeping it as it is.
And I think that has been the consensus. Is there anything new on the survey?
The survey, I've made the changes that we discussed last time. I altered some of the questions and the responses, the response options to reflect the feedback that I got last month. Of course, I haven't sent the survey out yet. I'm still thinking over the practical details of how that should best be done. Part of me thinks that it's less than perfect to be sending out a survey about outdoor behaviors in the middle of a time where people are undertaking very different outdoor behaviors. So I go back and forth between whether this should happen now or this should happen in the spring or summer. Does anyone have any thoughts about that?
Yeah, I think the people's habits are definitely different this year, but in a sense, people may have gained more of an appreciation for the open spaces in parks this year too.
I agree.
There's something to be said about that. Yeah. But I don't know if is spring waiting too long, and then we don't even know how things are going to be next
There
spring.
was something, I can't recall who said it last meeting. Someone brought up the point that Lakeville does send out either a yearly or some kind of periodical mailing to residents. And if there was some way to accompany this survey or a notification of the survey with that periodical, whatever it was, that might be an effective way of distributing it in a representative way. Does anyone remember what that
Yes,
conversation was?
Lakeville does a annual town census. They probably mail it the first week of January. Definitely
Yes.
arrives the beginning of January, so I'm guessing that's when they mail it, is the first week.
That might be a good time to distribute something. So I will. I think I'll try to aim for that to be the plan. Certainly, I'm going to need to take some concrete steps between now and November if a January deadline is going to happen. So
I think one of the first things you ought to do is to make sure that the town is okay with mailing it out with that.
sure. And who do you think is the correct person to contact?
Well, right now, we apparently do not have a town administrator, so I would think that you would contact
Lillian would be the town clerk. I think we
Yeah.
just went on mute.
Yeah, Mike, you muted yourself.
I was just agreeing with Jesse.
Yeah. Yeah, town clerk Lillian Drain is the one that mails out that
Okay.
town census. And I know it does have a couple other things in there too. They put the you have to register your dogs. That's in that mailing.
Mm.
There might, if you just want to put a little web address on one little small sheet of paper, slide in there. I wonder. I think I have seen surveys in there before, if I remember.
Great. I'll contact Lillian between now and next meeting, and I'll have that to share with us.
All right. All right. Was there anything else pertaining to the open space plan work group?
I don't mean to be an idiot. Did I miss something? Did you send an email with the link to that survey so I can just
No, I'm
preview it?
so I sent about a month and a half ago, I sent out a video in which I'm recording the screen while I show the survey. I don't want to distribute the survey itself yet.
No, yeah, sure. Uh-huh.
Also on LakeCAM, I should check here. Yeah, it looks like you were absent last month. So last month, I went through the individual questions. I read through them. I didn't show them on the screen.
All righty. Okay.
So if you wanted to either find the email I sent or to go on LakeCAM, their website, and find last month's meeting, and it's in the first 20 minutes of last month's meeting. So if you listen to that, you'd hear all the questions I asked.
Excellent. Thank you. Thank you for that.
All right then. Moving on to the next item in old business is the discussion updates by open space liaisons, starting with Mike Schroeder, the Swampset Pond Complex.
I really don't have anything to add at this point. Still waiting for something concrete to report.
All right. Next is me for the Park Commission. Nothing new in the last month has really happened at the parks other than they paved one of the parking areas that was just dirt before. It's paved and lined off now, but nothing as far as the fields have changed. Next is Patrick Marshall of Master Plan Implementation Committee. He sent me an email, said that he had nothing new in the past month also. So then next up would be Brian Reynolds and Historical Commission.
Well, we will have a meeting coming up on the third Wednesday of this month, and we had received some correspondence from people who are interested in being on the Historical Commission. So there's 3 or more people that have applied or requested to be on the Lakeville Historical Commission. And so we're kind of just following up with them right now.
Okay, then. Let's see, next item, discuss any updates on properties currently of interest to the Open Space Committee.
Hey, Jesse,
Yeah,
did you want me to talk at all about the 43D project with the hospital?
yep, that's coming up next in this.
Oh, I'm sorry.
Yeah,
I'm
no
sorry.
problem. Actually, I guess I could move you next time into
Right?
as
That's
one
where
of the
I thought.
liaisons. Good point. Yeah, I was just thinking to mention it when we talk about the hospital properties, but I can just move that on the agenda to be more appropriate the way.
It's going to be a short-term thing.
Yeah. All right. So the next one is the Lakeville Country Club. As a, I should post the email since that I sent to everybody that I had in my emails. Let's see. Screen share. Yeah. There's so many open things on my screen here. I think this one is it. All right. So you see the letter from AP Law, right?
Yes.
Okay, so this letter we received pertaining to the Lakeville Country Club property for sale. I guess it's being contested on whether the intent to sell was done properly. It's insufficient because various reasons here. I'll scroll through it. But you know what the Board of Selectmen had always said was that we can only hope that the sale falls through and that maybe the town can make some kind of more reasonable bid than 7 million. So maybe this is the first step of the sale falling through for the benefit of the town.
I just, yeah.
Go ahead.
I've got a little bit of a different interpretation of the impact of this letter. I mean, I think what it's saying is that the 7 million is for the whole property that is being sold, and there is only a portion of it that is under Chapter 61. So if the town, the value of the portion that's under 61 is less than 7 million, and that is what needs to be. That's what needed to be presented to the town, was that value. because that's the value that if the town was going to opt to buy it, that they would have to meet. And it still may be a gigantic figure. We just don't know. This is a really a bit of a technicality, a very significant one, but still, I don't think it's implying that the deal has fallen through. It's a hiccup.
Well, I definitely agree that, it's probably still a long shot, very big long shot that the town could ever purchase the property. But, this may just be a little hiccup that could possibly end up ruining the sale. And
Yes, that says it does, it means that there is something still out there. Yeah.
right. I don't have anything else to share on that property.
Do we know anything about the specific public use potential for the part of the property that is contested?
I don't know personally. What it mentioned, was it 40? What was the address? Just so let me get that document open again.
The 7 million.
Or Clear Pond Road.
Covers a house. I think it covers at least 2 dwellings, 2 other separate properties that are developed.
59 Harcourt Avenue, which is residential and commercial land. 44 Clear Pond Road, which is golf course. 1 Cedarberry Lane, it's a residence.
So I think I heard you say two residences, right?
Right.
And
The
separate. with
59
separate
Harcourt.
addresses.
59 Harcourt is a residence and residential and commercial land. Whereas 1 Cedarberry Lane is 5-acre residence.
Right. Do we have any particular interest in any of those? You listed 3 addresses. Is it the case that any of them in particular stand out in terms of environmental protection or public use potential, or any reason why we would look at one of them and say, this should be a focus, or are they all kind of in the same bucket of?
Well, the big one is 44 Clear Pond Road, which is the golf course itself.
Okay.
And now 59 Harcourt Ave. Now, is that one a bog? Cranberry bog?
The Clear Pond Road one has a bog in front of it. I don't know if the and I don't know if the bog is included in the property or not. I'd have to see the plot plan again.
I'm wondering if the bog actually is the commercial land mentioned on 59 Harcourt.
Oh, so 59 Harclove is residence and commercial?
Yes.
Oh, so it probably is. Now, the history of that is that the current owner of the golf course bought that property, including the bog, and he built the house. That was his residence.
Okay.
And it's located right on the bog. I mean, it faces not physically on, it's right next to it. It looks over it.
Right. But that's not Harcourt Avenue, though, right?
No, you're right. That isn't. That's Clear Pond Road. I'm getting mixed up. That's not Harcourt. That is Clear Pond Road.
Yeah, I'd have to look at a map to find out
Yeah.
Mike,
exactly where that is.
Mike,
Yes.
it's Liz. Wasn't there some white cedar? Isn't there a particularly touchy
Well,
area
yes,
there?
but that, I don't think that is part of the property. I think it may be adjacent to the property. So it would be impacted by whatever was done there, but I don't think it's on the property itself, but I'm not absolutely certain. That is adjacent. I mean, that is that cedar, that Atlantic white cedar swamp is on Clear Pond Road.
Does it belong to a?
I'm getting my roads mixed up. I'm sorry. The bog is not on Clear. The Cranberry Bog is not on Clear Pond Road. What is the name of that? I'm sorry, I don't remember.
Well, Spencer Street and Crooked Lane.
Crooked Lane, that's right. It's on Crooked Lane. It's not, but the Cedar Swamp is on Clear Pond Road, across from the town park.
Is that part of this? Is that part of the property?
I'm
that's for
not
sale?
sure. I don't think so, but I'm not sure.
Okay. Okay. Because I mean, that's in that area. That's the most sensitive
Well,
environment.
the thing about Atlantic White Cedar is that what is done adjacent to it can make a big difference. Usually usually they're done in by things like gravel pits, but
Okay. All right. Because okay. Because they grow in that kind of territory. Okay. Well, I was just curious.
All right. Let's see. Is that all that we have on the Lakeville Country Club? All right. Nothing heard. Next would be the Lakeville Hospital properties then, Liz.
Honestly, so the very first thing that I have to say is that they're trying very, very hard to make sure that all of the different committees in town are heard from on this, number one. Number two, they're really trying to take into account the concerns of not just the people who are nearby, living nearby that hospital property, but everybody that lives in Lakeville. And somebody has been listening. Number three, that development company has definitely done their due diligence. I don't know where they've gotten all their information, but they talked about where the driveways were going to be coming out. They're not coming out on Route 79. They're just coming out on Route 105. They talked about the wetlands that are in the area. They really worked really hard at this. So for me, it's very difficult. My very first reaction, is that we kind of missed the boat when the property surrounding what's left was developed. So there wasn't a whole lot, I guess, we could do. There was an owner of all of the property, and it was cherry picked to build residences, to build a community, to build like a cul-de-sac. And then now we're at the point that what's left has been sold to this development company that's coming up with a warehouse situation. And I'm a little out of my depth, but they do talk about the wetlands, and they're doing everything they can to protect what could be sensitive area. But I don't really know what the open space committee can bring to this, like what we're trying to save. So if anybody has questions about it, I can help answer them, but I think that this property is kind of it's just kind of a done deal. And one of the 43D thing is all about speed. It's about getting it through all of the boards rapidly so that they can get the work done and turn the property into a something that's contributing to town instead of just sitting there. So that's what I have to say about that. Anybody have any questions? Go ahead, Mike.
Do we have, I haven't gone up to the town hall to see if one can look at the plans up there. Is that a possibility? Do you know?
I believe it is. Yes, I believe
Because
they,
one of the concerns I had was how close to the edges of the property are they coming? What's going to be you're saying that they're going to access 105. They're not going to go out on 79, which
Yep.
means that all the traffic is going to will be coming out somewhere like across from Baldy's.
yeah, in that area across
And
from Bridge
then
Street.
you're going to have whatever size trucks they are will be going through the up and down in that space.
You got it.
Yeah.
Yep. Coming and going. And I mean, so it was fascinating, and it is fascinating. I do feel I feel kind of bad for the residents, the local residents, but it is because of the zoning of the area. I mean, it was a hospital, and hospitals were 24 hours. right? A hospital is a 24-hour piece of property. This warehouse is going to be a 24-hour piece of property,
Well, one thing
or
that
distribution center.
yeah.
Yeah.
that whole area was really like a set was that's kind of priority development area. So I think that the residences that are across the street from them, I think that those people had put their houses up for. Am I wrong, Jesse? Do you remember this? There was a thing about that whole street was going to sell as one.
Wow.
Well, that was Lori Lane.
Yeah, yes, you remember it, Brian. I don't know whatever happened with that, but I didn't know if they all signed on or not, but so they don't, it's as if that neighborhood doesn't they're not hanging on to their residences that strongly. The area is definitely changing. So what it means is that if it comes out on 105, the residences behind them and the ones that are on 79 will not be impacted as badly, but they will be impacted, just not as bad.
Well, so two of the impacts, though, that I didn't get to, so we had two meetings. We had one on the 9th and we had one on the 15th of September. The one on the 9th was our original meeting, picked a chair, a lot of stuff like that. The one on the 15th was when the developer came in and showed the plans. It was a little wonky because it was a Zoom meeting and it was a Facebook Live. So and it was a live meeting. I did not go live. I had broken wrist problems and I was on quarantine. So I did it from home and it was hard to see the Facebook Live, which was how they were showing the plans. But since then I've received an email that lets you look through the plans a little bit better, and I can find that and forward it to everybody. But it also should be available at the town.
Yeah.
But the two things that occurred to me that I didn't get to say during the meeting would be the only, after the fact I really should have said this, is that number one, the people they're taking a piece of property that hasn't been used for the last 30 years, and they're developing it. And those neighborhoods around there need to realize that there's going to be wildlife moving into their neighborhoods. Because you leave a piece of property, empty for 30 years, you're going to have all sorts of critters that have been living on that property. And now they're going to come in with trucks and they're going to rip it up and they're going to tear stuff down and they're going to completely change it. And those animals are all going to start moving out into those neighborhoods and into the streets, into the roads. So I wish I had thought it while I was in the meeting, but I didn't think of it for like an hour afterward. So that's a weird one. But as you said, Mike, I mean, that's already been decided that is the part of Lakeville that's going to be developed commercially, right? So that was a kind of a strange thing. And the other thing, I can't remember right at the moment, but I mean, does anybody have any questions, honestly, about like the impact of this? Because it's there's not a whole lot we can do. Like I said, the areas that might have been saved as open space got cherry picked off at the start. So
good. Two things I'd like to say. First off, if you could send the plans, I would be interested in checking that.
I'll try to find that email. Yeah.
And the second thing is, why do they want your input? I think that was the original question that this had, was when they reached out to us and said, can we nominate someone to go there? We didn't really understand what the purpose would be, why you'd be going, and what was expected of you. Do you have any understanding right now of what they're hoping you do or don't do?
So apparently, this is an old story, this piece of property, and Mike knows that. A long time ago, it was supposed to be a Stop and Shop. Was it Stop and Shop?
Stop and Shop, Target, and a Chili's.
Right. It was going to be a Stop and Shop,
office
Target,
buildings and housing for over 55.
Right. And that got accepted. And then 2008 happened and the bottom fell out of the economy and they backed out of it. So then they waited for a little while and then Cisco stepped in, apparently. And that one went to vote and the town voted it down. And one of the things that came out of both of those experiences was that the next time this piece of property, a 43D piece of property came up for development, that they would invite a member from every one of the committees in town to sit on a group and look at how the piece was going to be developed. That's why we were invited to this.
So they simply wanted your presence. They're not asking you to do anything. They're not asking you not to do anything.
Well, what they asked was I should bring it back to my committee, let the committee know what's going on, and see if there's any concerns, which is what I'm doing.
I have a question if you're done, Adam.
Yep.
Liz, you had mentioned to me that there was some confusion on why we were even on it, and there was some question if open space was even supposed to be there. Do you
Right.
have any details on that?
That's what I've just said. So that that's what happened. It's through these years of trying to develop this 43D property that the Board of Selectmen came up with the idea that what needs to happen so that the town feels the most comfortable with the whole thing is that Conservation Commission is on there, Board of Health is on there, Open Space is on there. Almost every one of the committees that has and could have any kind of concerns about it, somebody is invited from the committee.
Well, that's why they wanted us there, but you were saying that then there was question like we shouldn't be there.
Oh, that was something that happened when I went into town hall. And the person that brought that up will no longer be working with us, I guess. Same
Okay.
person. So, right. So apparently that person's moving on.
All right,
And
so that's a moot point then.
yeah, weird too.
And another just basic question: who's the chair of this committee? You mentioned they had a vote on the 9th of September.
Yeah, Mark Knox,
Okay.
who's from the planning board.
Yeah.
It's Mark Knox, Mike O'Brien from the fire chief, Chris Spratt from the health, Nate from building, John Oliveira from the economic committee, Robert Bouchard from the Conservation Commission, Rich LaCamera, and I think that's myself. So it's really quite comprehensive, which makes sense because the hospital property has a lot of weird stuff going on. But this development company's come in, they've addressed the hazardous waste areas. They've addressed the height of the building. Did you realize that one of the buildings is 7 stories high? And Lakeville actually has a rule. Yes, 7 stories. That's what I did. One of the rules in Lakeville is you can only go up like 3 stories. So it's really
Well, the
quite
state did that.
interesting. The state did that, Brian.
Yeah.
So it's really very fascinating. So it's more, I'm coming to you guys to say, what are you worried about?
Well, did you say that the 3-story maximum has been reminded to them, or are they getting some exceptions?
No, they're sticking with that.
They're sticking with the 3-story
The
maximum.
3-story, right, yeah.
Yeah.
Very good.
It's absolutely fascinating, the homework that these people have done. You know, I'm pretty impressed. And they're going to try to stay away with a buffer mic from like 100 feet from the wetlands areas. The problem is that one of the hazardous waste dumps was built before 1973 when the
So it's right at the edge, yeah.
when the law, exactly. And so it actually encroaches into that wetland space and they have to dig it up.
They have to dig it up, but they won't try to fill it after that, I'm assuming.
Well, they're going to put a parking lot on top of it, actually.
Oh, well, that's filling. So yes, so they are, wow.
Well, yeah.
They're not, in other words, they're not restoring it to wetland. They are just.
No, they're going to clean it up and they need it space for, but they're still, I mean, and they'll be more exact than I will. Let me find the plans, shoot them out to all of you. it's kind of a, I mean, it's the hospital property, you know, it's like and that's why I started with, they kind of cherry picked the areas that we should have been in on trying to keep
Well,
as open space
we
if we
weren't given-
wanted to,
yeah,
but we
it was-
didn't realize what was going on.
There was not an opportunity to do it. I mean, it
Nope.
was, all those lots were all, they were, frontage lots.
Right.
And by rights lots. So there was nothing, there was no option.
Nope. Exactly.
I don't know if people have noticed, but somebody has made a chat comment. Is this the type of thing that we pay attention to? I mean, if this was a meeting, somebody would have their hand up and we would address them, but somebody has made a chat comment. Somebody from the public. Yeah, you're muted, Jesse.
We announced in the beginning that we weren't open to public comments, but I am reading the chat comment and doesn't really look like a question, looks more like a joke.
Okay.
Well, I don't think it's a
All
joke.
right.
Yeah, well, kind of.
I don't know if joke's the right word, but
Yeah.
it's a little sarcasm.
It's a comment. Well, it's a
okay.
comment.
All
She's
right.
Yeah.
She's right. What can you do?
Move into the woods, expect to meet some animals.
Yes.
Yeah, be careful driving in that area because stuff's going to be running through the road. Yeah.
All right. Okay. So I guess we could move on to the next property unless you have more, Liz, or any questions. Okay. Next was the LeBaron Hills properties. What I know from any recent updates is they've started a lottery to move into some of the units. I don't have any update on anything else going on with the residences there. Haven't heard.
Well, nothing about the golf course.
I haven't heard anything new about the golf
Okay.
course except their restaurant is open.
Oh,
Yeah,
Hmm.
I keep seeing posts about that, so it's promising. So next is discuss the chapter land spreadsheet of the Lakeville 61 A, B, and C properties. And so we have to still nail down how to move forward contacting them. I think, Mike, last month, did you mention you would, I think you mentioned you'd write a letter.
I did. I sent it out.
Online.
I thought, didn't I send it out? Oh, did I not send it out? Oh, darn, I'm sorry. I
I think I
did.
saw the draft, but I don't know if I saw it actually sent out after the draft.
I think I
I didn't
sent
see
it.
anything posted
oh,
online.
if you guys will move on, I'll check my documents and see if I have it.
Yeah, no
But
problem. Okay, next would be new business. Actually, one thing that dropped off a few months ago from the properties is the what is that called? The Island Terrace one. I know they have started more construction. I haven't seen it in the last couple months, but I read that they have started construction on it.
Yeah.
Well, I know they've got in the
Yeah.
foundations
Foundations.
for, I think, 2 buildings. They've got the cement foundations in place right now.
Okay. So that's starting to move along. Well, then in new business, discuss any correspondence and announcements. I just checked our box today and there was nothing in it. So nothing in the town hall box for us. And I forwarded all the emails and we discussed those. So nothing else to report on that. Discuss agenda items for next meeting. Like I said, we'll move the hospital into the liaison section. Anybody else have anything that should be added to the agenda for next meeting?
If I could can people hear me? Because I can't see the screen. I don't know how to do this. I'm
I hear
looking
you.
at I could read this thing that I wrote, but because of this strangeness that I'm having trouble sending emails, I don't know if I could send it to you, but I could read it out to you. The thing that I had written to put on social media to let people think about
I
think about
recall,
the town before they develop open space.
right. I recall you sharing that letter with us last month.
Yeah.
I think you were going to actually proceed to share it.
Yeah, yeah, it was ready to go, and you could just go ahead and put it online now.
Unless you
Yeah,
made
Mark,
some
go
changes
for it.
that you want to share with us.
I'm not about to put it online without having everybody read it first. But do you want me to read it out now, or do you want me or do you just want me to wait and see if I can't get my email to work?
Didn't we read that after the meeting last time? But
I don't remember.
yeah,
Yeah, that's what I was saying, Mike. I think that
Yeah.
we actually did share it with this already.
Okay.
yeah, you shared
great.
it with us, and
If you want to email it to us,
Yeah.
nevertheless, I'd be happy to read it over again.
Okay, I think I better, because I'm a little confused about where we stood with it. So I will send it again, but I do have to solve my email problem.
all right.
Okay.
Did you receive the email I sent you before the meeting?
I received one with minutes attached. Yes, I
Okay.
received it, but I don't seem to be able
Just can't
to.
send. Okay.
So Jesse, you asked about future agenda items. One of the things that I want to try to be a bit better about while I create these minutes is to keep track of action items. So while I've been creating these minutes, I've kind of been highlighting action items for next time. And so I'd like to conclude sessions by kind of reiterating what we've committed ourselves to do for next time. I think that'll help myself and hopefully others.
Yeah, perfect.
Mike has noted that she's going to have a list, create a list of contacts that the committee should consider reaching out to. I have committed to contacting Lillian Drain, town clerk, about the potential for accompanying the January census with an open space survey. Liz is going to forward the plans related to the Lakeville Hospital to us. Mike will send out a letter that she's just finished describing to us to review before she sends it on social media. And I think that's where we are. I also made a note to myself is that perhaps if we're going to send out a survey along with the census, perhaps we also include a quick note about the Chapter 61A, B, and C, and the potential prospects of us as the town of Lakeville purchasing open space properties in the future, including some kind of small note along with the survey. And in that way, we amplify that message.
Yeah, that's great.
Media.
Great idea.
Add to the list of things that I said I would do. That is, if people want me, because I was having trouble with the Google Docs, I will send out it's going to be about 6 pages of notes of changes.
Okay, great.
Yeah. And one for me was I needed to email the 2 potential new members.
Yes, yes.
Okay, next, discuss any other business not mentioned in the agenda that may probably come before the committee. One thing hasn't been mentioned in a couple of months. Remember January 1st, we were gonna want to start having with a new chair. So if anyone's thinking about, we should vote in December. We nominate and vote the new chair in December to start January 1st. And then last thing is discuss the next meeting, 7 p.m. Wednesday, November 4th. Location to be determined. Guessing probably here on Zoom remotely, or if we're allowed to possibly meet again in person, then Loon Pond Lodge sooner if necessary. And do I have a motion to adjourn?
I'll give you a motion to adjourn.
All right, Liz motions.
Motion seconded.
All right, Adam seconds. And we will roll call vote. Donna,
Aye.
Liz,
Aye.
Adam,
Yes, aye.
Brian,
Aye.
Mike,
Aye.
and myself, Jesse. Aye, unanimous. The meeting is adjourned at 8:06 p.m.